That's right, it's official. She is crazy good. We're going over Xinyan today as I put together the full-on guide for you guys. I still wanted to get you guys the knowledge about what this character is good for and some things that are being oversold about her and some things that are being very undersold about her. So if you got your hands on Xinyan, she's going to be an excellent character to use, especially in certain team compositions or in certain areas. She's very good in the hardest current floor dungeon of the Abyss due to the fact that it is cryo based and it puts a cryo debuff on you, and she's one of the only 3 characters in the game that can remove that debuff. So level her up just for that if you're trying to get those free primo gems from floor 12 of the Abyss at some point. It's going to be an easy time. Have her in one party and then have Bennett in the other party, and you're going to be golden on just removing that debuff from your party. But other than that, what is she good for? What are we going to be using her in? What sort of team composition? What does she bring to your party? So she's going to be a support character that offers a huge complementary playstyle to the Superconduct physical damage playstyle primarily. That's where she's going to shine the greatest, and she does some crazy things out there for you players that are using Superconduct. But that's not all that she does. She's not just a support, and she's not only good in Superconduct teams because she is a pyro character. If you're looking for a second pyro support character, regardless of what it is, someone to combine with Bennett for your average everyday damage dealing team composition, she can slot right in there, and she can also provide some additional defensive utility and put out some very nice numbers for you as well with her burst damage on her elemental burst, guys. So let's talk about a couple of things that you really need to be taken away from this character. So she does work very well with the supportive aspect. She does have that defensive shield, but the defensive shield also as an ascension will increase your 15% increase to that physical damage. Now this is going to stack additively with your other physical damage. So if you already had, someone like Razor who gets a bunch of physical damage, this is going to be 15% on top of that. It's not going to be 15% of what you have. So if you have like 120% already on your Razor, it's going to go up to like 135. So keep that in mind, but that still is exceptionally powerful. Constellation wise, this is going to be some of the things that people talk about the most, and a lot of these guys are just not necessary and overblown and oversold. She's got one constellation that is absolutely insane, and it's one of her earlier ones. So we've seen people talk about stuff like Fatal Acceleration, scoring a crit hit increases her attack speed on her charged attacks. You've seen the C6 talk, right? Is she like Noelle where she gets defense into her attack? She's not like Noelle because this is going to be 50% of her defense into her attack. That's all it scales. Noelle can get to like 120, 130% and allows you to do some crazy builds with that high constellation. Xinyan does not have that. Now, she does have a very nice constellation here at level 4, which is 15% physical resistance decrease when she hits someone with sweeping fervor. That's pretty okay, right? You put that into Superconduct team composition, this could be another source of physical resistance down for you. Maybe you can't put Superconduct on, maybe you just want to have the access to this, but this isn't the crazy one here. The super crazy one, if you gain access to it, is this one, Impromptu Opening, because this has been mistranslated, or it's worded extremely poorly here, because this is worded like a lot of the other things. And what it does say here, it says that her ultimate Rift Revolution or Elemental Burst physical damage part, because it's got 2 different parts, has its critical hit rate increased by 100%, and then it forms a level 3 shield when cast. Everything else in the game that says has its blah increased by a certain amount, like 100%, like the new weapons that we just had access to, like the new spear, the new sword, and the new catalyst, increased by 100% means double it. But we spent hours and hours and hours and hours testing this. It means that you automatically crit hit with Impromptu Opening, which allows you to do some very crazy builds with her when it comes to using her as a support in a burst damage dealer, because she gets a stat for free in the game on her elemental burst, which is crazy. If you ever played an RPG, not even just like a game like this, a gacha game, if you play like an RPG before, something that's broken is when one of the things that your character can do is ignore one of the stats in the game. In this case, critical hit rate, which is one of the best stats in the game. This allows you to build her up and look for specific artifacts to make her work and do some crazy stuff. So if you do have that constellation too, you can forego critical hit rate, period. Just go attack percent, critical hit damage, and energy recharge. She's going to be in there buffing up your physical damage for your Superconduct team. She's going to go in there. We're going to do some nice little showcases for you in this video as well. She does so much damage as a support, and we don't even have all of her stuff leveled up yet, guys. And what you want to be doing for that specific build here, Noblesse Oblige, 2-piece, Bloodstained Chivalry, 2-piece there. That's going to give you 20% elemental burst damage and 25% physical damage, that is going to work on the part that we care about the most in her elemental burst, because it is 2 parts. It's got a little bit of pyro damage over time on it, but the vast majority of it is going to be from that initial hit, the big physical damage hit. You cannot change this from physical damage with some sort of character imbue, right? If you're using Chongyun on your team and you Rift Resolution with that Chongyun Ice Aura up, Rift Revolution is still going to be doing physical damage there. So that's going to actually be kind of awesome if you're using Chongyun and a Superconduct team for that reason, because you can just get in there no matter what field effects out there, you're going to get physical damage from it. And so you put her in a Superconduct team, and she's going to get that Superconduct 50% physical resistance down bonus on top of that. And you just stack critical hit damage, you stack attack percent, and you stack some energy recharge. So that's what we're working on with her there. But what about team compositions? What about weapons? So let's talk about that. Now, when it comes to weapons for Xinyan, the same logic still applies. You're looking for attack percent, energy recharge, or critical hit damage. So right off, obviously, if one of the big weapons like the Enforge or the Wolf's Gravestone or the Skyward Pride, those are all fantastic weapons. If you want more attack percent to increase your damage overall, the Unforged and Wolf's Gravestone, both fantastic options there. Skyward Pride has that huge base attack number, and it gives energy recharge. So while you'll hit less with your elemental burst, you will get your elemental burst more often due to that energy recharge stat. Thinking about that as well, we have the Favonius Greatsword or the Sacrificial Greatsword. The Sacrificial Greatsword, in my opinion, are the better greatswords or claymores to be using in this case, because the Sacrificial Greatsword has a little bit higher base attack. It's got the highest base attack among 4-star weapons for it to be using, and the ability on it, it does have that 40, 50, 60, depending on refinement rank, chance to reset the cooldown of your elemental skill when you are using your elemental skill, which, as you guys know, when you hit things with your elemental skill, it generates elemental particles. So you have energy recharge on the weapon, energy recharge on your artifacts. Double tap with your elemental skill. It's going to give you a lot of particles for Xinyan, and it's going to give you even quicker access to her elemental burst. Obviously, you have the prototype Animus as well, the crafted weapon, always the mainstay for someone who's just trying to do damage. Fantastic weapon on her as well. And then the last one I want to talk about is the Black Cliff Slasher that you can't see here because I don't have access to it. But the Black Cliff Slasher is going to be a weapon that you can buy with Star Glitter. Right now, the weapon that you can buy in the Star Glitter shop is the Royal Weapon set. Now, this is going to change every month. I do believe it fluctuates in and out. It goes on rotation every month there for you guys. And you can see that it costs 24 Star Glitter. Now, this weapon, the Royal Greatsword, it's okay, not the greatest. It's got some attack percent on it. It's got a high base attack as well, which is nice, but then gives like a crit hit rate. And if you're looking for the C2 version of the build for Xinyan, not the greatest thing ever. Now, if you are not C2 on Xinyan, you are maybe rolling her with some low crit hit rate, maybe you have 20-25% crit hit rate, then you can buy the Royal Greatsword, get in there, hit it 2 times, use your elemental skill. You'll probably, get at least 2 stacks on without critting, and then use your elemental burst, and you'll have a shot at critting with that. Now, that would be the logic behind this weapon if that C2 didn't just give you 100% crit hit rate. If it did double it, then this would be a lot better of a choice there, because you could do what we just talked about, build it for 25% crit hit rate, get in there, hit a couple of times until you don't crit 3 times in a row, get this stacking 8% crit hit rate, and then elemental burst, and all of those stacks giving the 8%, the burst would double it, and that'd be a huge thing, but that's not how it works. So this one isn't really that great of a weapon. But the one that should be coming in the shop next, the Black Cliff Slasher, that just has critical hit damage of 50% at level 80, critical hit damage to just add right into your stat pool. And that's a huge thing, because that's what you are really looking to build her for in this situation, is just maxing out her critical hit damage. Now, I don't have all of her stuff finished yet. We're at 154% right now. I have some couple, plus 10s, a plus 14, and a plus 12 to get through there. And this is just this first kind of stuff that I've been messing around with. And what you're trying to do is just get that energy recharge, get that attack percent, and get that critical hit damage. And just, if you're at C2, it's so broken. You can do so much damage with her because you don't have to look for critical hit chance. You can just go all in on critical hit damage, build her for 200, 250%. Just keep rolling them artifacts until you get critical hit damage rolls on every single upgrade. And that's going to be the power behind Xinyan, because she's going to be able to stack those numbers up and do things that other characters can't do. And she's a support character. Now, speaking of support characters, what sort of Superconduct teams are we thinking about here? How is she strong? What sort of weird things can you use with her? Now, obviously, one of the greatest, I want to say, Superconduct character to use right now is Razor. Razor's a fantastic Superconduct character. He's a physical, super hyper carry type damage dealer. I know a lot of you Razor fans out there are probably watching this. And yeah, Xinyan, after everything we talked about, goes really well with Razor. So this is going to be my tertiary team that I've been working on. This is the team I've been leveling up. So we're going to be using Xinyan, Bennett, Razor, and Diona for every once in a while. If I could swap Bennett out for someone else if I want to, because Diona's healing for me. You could swap Diona out if you're keeping Bennett in for whatever cryo character it is that you want. But this is going to be the setup here. You're going to use Razor. He's going to be the full-time damage character. You're going to have the shield from Xinyan to boost his damage up a little bit more there. You're going to have the aura from Bennett, right? When you put his elemental burst down, it's going to boost up Razor's damage as well. You have the Superconduct between Razor and Diona. Fantastic there. And then you have the big burst damage with Xinyan just coming in. She's there to support, give that second, right, elemental resonance bonus of having the second pyro character that helps out everyone here. And then she's going to come in and drop those giant elemental burst, Superconduct fed, shielded, buffed up with Bennett nukes and just hit things for 100,000 damage while we're working on her. And it's a crazy thing that you can be doing out there. So while we were gathering data to see if she could actually do 100% critical hit rate, someone gave me the bold idea to go into floor 7 of the Abyss to kind of test and see what it would look like if you had just for fun, but also to see what it would look like if you eventually got those artifacts to roll critical hit damage in the substat over and over and over again, because you get about 6% on average a roll for critical hit damage when it rolls critical hit damage as a substat. So if you can get an artifact 5-star, get in there, roll critical hit damage a couple of times, you could get 30% on a substat artifact for each different artifact. That's going to be 120% average if you roll it a couple of times on each artifact, which is what this floor does indeed give you. So we'll see what we can hit. Now, he said if I could break 100K, we'd be in the money. So let's see if we can break the 100K. We're going to get max stacks here. We're going to pop Razor for the Superconduct, and then where you see the Superconduct there, swap over here, and then put this up and then pop it off. 94K, so not quite 100K, but she can hit pretty hard. Now, obviously, remember, this has got the buff. This is not a showcase, but it is going to be something that you're aiming to do eventually when you're using this character, because you want to roll and abuse that C2 passive if you do get that C2 passive, because no one else in the game can just ignore critical hit damage like she can. That is a huge deal for her to just be able to ignore critical hit damage. So we go in here again, and we had the Diona shield. Oh, we messed up, so I have to do this again. 71K. We missed something on that second attempt there, though. But she can hit exceptionally hard as a support character. Doesn't even have all her stuff leveled up. She's not even 80 yet. She's level 70. So that's the team that we're working on here. Xinyan is a fantastic character. Look for the full guide to come out soon, TLDR. She's awesome, and she works with a lot of playstyles there, but specifically Superconduct. She's going to be an amazing asset to your team there. And there's a lot of Superconduct teams out there, right? Kaching, Razor, and a lot of you guys out there are using a Superconduct team, building our boy Zhongli as your physical carry just because you like to see him out on the battlefield, and that's totally okay. If you want to play the game that way, you just have fun out there. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for spending time here. If you want to see more stuff on the channel, you know what to do there. Like and subscribe, otherwise you'll never see this channel ever again. I'll be lost to the Netherverse, to the great YouTube overlords. But until then, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.